Minister for Regional Development and Territories, Kristy McBain, who joins us live from Darwin this afternoon. Thanks so much for your time, Minister. This growth number, it's a lot softer. It shows you where the economy is headed. The RBA would be relieved, but a lot of people doing it tough.
Yeah, there's no doubt that we have Australians right across the country doing it really tough at the moment. And the decision by the independent Reserve Bank will no doubt hit a lot of people really hard. And we'll be left wondering how that decision's made when, their household budgets have already been cut really thin. So it will be a tough time for a lot of Australian families out there. But the budget that we handed down a month ago now was really aimed at dealing with some of that responsible cost of living relief, and that will start to kick in, and I think Australians will be grateful for that support.
Do you accept that point that Andrew and I made just there, where the government has really not copped any of the blame for the first 12 to 13 months, but now, second year in office, that accountability will be forthcoming?
Oh, look, absolutely. Australians will rightly be looking to governments for a series of decisions that they're making, and will make their judgment at the ballot box in a couple of years' time. But let me point out that we've been in government for 12 months. The Liberal National Party were in government for a decade. None of these things have happened in isolation. There was a decade where planning and proper process wasn't taken into account. We're now left cleaning up a mess that was a decade in the making. We've also had some challenges with the illegal war in Ukraine and busted supply chains that we've seen through COVID, which weren't adequately planned for or dealt with under the previous government. So we've got some challenges ahead of us. It's up to us now to make sure that we are setting Australia on the right course going forward.
Does the government need to also manage expectations when it comes to wage increases? Governor Lowe today said last week's minimum wage increase was higher than we'd factored into our forecast. He also said it's a risk factor we're monitoring, that the problem would be if it spreads across other parts of the labour market. No one begrudges people doing it tough, Kristy McBain getting a pay rise, but when it's across the board, as Governor Lowe says, those inflationary pressures are there.
I think that some of the wage rises we've talked about, for example, for aged care workers, for those people on the minimum wage, they are some of the lowest paid workers in our economy. This isn't right across the board. This is actually dealing with long-standing issues that have been in our economy for a long period of time. And we know the previous government had low wage growth as a deliberate design feature in their economic policy. What we're saying is for 10 years, those wages haven't kept up with the cost of living. It is right that there are some wage growth in those low income industries. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're doing our bit as well, which is why the budget was very measured in its cost of living relief, so that we can help people with the cost of energy prices, with cheaper childcare, cheaper medicines, making it cheaper and easier to see a doctor across the country. They're things that we're working on as well.
When you get around the community and as minister, as a local member, do you get more people coming to you about these cost of living issues, to talk about that and the pressures, than, say, to discuss the voice to Parliament and the looming referendum?
Oh, look, I think there are some key locality things that happen across the country, things that are specific to a particular location. But there are some underlying themes right across the country and across regional Australia. Skills and shortages are a big one of those. Housing shortages is a big one of those. Cost of living comes further down the line because we've got businesses and industries crying out for workers, but not having anywhere for them to live. So that is one of the key issues they talk about. I've just spent yesterday in Weipa and today I'm in Cairns speaking to a lot of community groups, local Aboriginal councils and organisations, and the voice always comes up, and it's really clear that there's more that needs to be done there.
Just finally, the government's announced $400 million for nearly 200 projects under the Disaster Ready Fund. Can you explain to our viewers what that is about and how that will help combat and make communities more resilient in the face of floods and fires?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super proud to be in Cairns today to announce the Disaster Ready Fund winners for round one. We know so many communities have been crying out for money to go into resilience and mitigation projects. So $200 million, which has been matched by states and territories, so $400 million overall to 184 projects across the country. It's a really great investment in things like cyclone shelters, in flood levees, in flood warning systems, things that councils and communities have been asking for. And what we're hoping is that now that we are investing in resilience and mitigation, we'll start to see the premiums of insurance come down. This is on top of $20 million that we've announced to assist people in Queensland in particular to deal with some of the costs of making their own homes more resilient to natural disasters. It's really important we start to focus on this because we know for every dollar we spend up front in resilience and mitigation, we're saving $11 on recovery.
Minister for Regional Development and Territories, joining us live from Darwin, Kristy McBain. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.